Hello everybody and welcome to part 3 of learning a fiddle tune. We've been laying out a kind of method that I like to use and teach students on how to best approach learning a fiddle tune for many reasons. Memorizing it faster, having it more available to you for improvisation or creating your solos, having it more available to you in terms of changing keys or changing positions on your neck, having it more available to you in case you're taking a solo and get lost, and how to find your way back without crashing and burning. For all these reasons, I think this kind of structured approach is valuable. And so the first time we talked about learning the song just by singing la la la, da da da, whistling and humming, whatever. Get the tune in your head, the simplest form of the tune. Last time we talked about the A part to Liberty and how to do sort of like an analysis of the structure of the song and an analysis of two-bar phrases, breaking it down in two-bar phrases and analyzing those two-bar phrases to see what's really going on in the song, what is happening in that melody, okay? And so we're doing it in D. Today we're going to look at the B part, okay? I'm going to play it kind of the way I learned it, and then I'm going to show you how to simplify that even more, because we talked about this idea of taking a melody that you may sing or hum or whistle or that you have learned, and then even stripping it down further to have just the minimal number of notes to make it still recognizable as the song in a strong way, okay? And then working from that is a good place to branch out into your own creations as far as your arrangements or improvising or whatever you're doing. The first way I learned that song, of course, the B part, we're going to have a little bit of a lead-in, like we talked about last time, a lead-in to the first two-bar phrase, which will be the sort of theme of the B part. The B part will have usually a different theme than the A part. So the way I learned it, the first phrase would be like that, okay? So I'm starting with this lead-in, walking up that the downbeat of the first measure of the two-bar phrase is that open A note. Okay, so this F sharp G is the lead-in, okay, is the leading notes. And then from there, kind of toggling back and forth from an A to a B note, and then after I go back to that A note, I'm walking down the scale. Right? I'm just walking down the D scale and then to the D note. And then when I hit that D note, I'm going to walk back up, but I'm going to walk back up the arpeggio. Those are all notes of the D chord, which makes it an arpeggio. An arpeggio is just playing the notes of a chord one at a time. So I'm going D, F sharp, A, D, F sharp, back to D. See? The notes of the D chord are D, F sharp, and A, and I'm hitting all those. So that finishes our first two-bar phrase. Okay? Now we got the answer to the theme. That was our theme. Now we got to go to the answer to the theme. So the way the answer to the theme goes, remember we said a lot of times the answer to the theme will start out almost just like the theme and then branch off to something a little bit different. In the A part, remember it was kind of the same, but we just transposed it from playing a similar lick over a D chord to similar lick over the G chord, if you remember. This one starts out just like the theme. Remember the theme after the notes, after the lead-in notes, it goes, right? After you play that theme, the sub-theme is, or, So it starts out the same, and then it branches off however you want to play it, okay? So this is one of those situations where the answer to the theme starts out like the theme, but then diverts off a little bit. And that's good information to know. All right, so the sub-theme here, just like the A part, is going to be exactly like the theme. So I'm going to go, starting from the top of the B part. So you see, it's identical, even with the lead-in notes, okay? And then, like in many fiddle tunes, the resolution phrase is going to be just like the resolution phrase of the A part. If you remember what that was, or walking down that scale from the G, G, F sharp, E, D, and then we're going to the C sharp and then back to the D. Or you could run it farther. We went over that last time because, again, the resolution phrase, exactly like the resolution phrase from the A part. And so that's the B part right there. Very straightforward. And again, if you analyze them in two-bar phrases, analyze the part, and then recognize similarities, the theme, okay, got that. The answer to the theme starts out the same as the theme, but then changes. Then you got the sub-theme, which is exactly identical to the theme, and you got resolution phrase, which is exactly identical to the resolution phrase in the A part. So if you wrap your head around all that, you don't have to relearn stuff. You recognize, oh, that's similar to what I've already done, and then you can move on from there. And again, recognizing where scale runs are, where arpeggio runs are, that's going to be helpful too. Another thing I want to say is recognizing where each of these two-bar phrases start, where the anchor note of the start of the two-bar phrase is, and kind of getting that in your head is going to be helpful as well. Okay, now that we've gone through the B part, let's take a look at the chords. Remember last time I said it's real important to know what your chords are and how the chords will relate to the melody you're playing. Again, that's another important part, is know at what part of your two-bar phrases those chords are going to be changing. Okay? So, it's going to start out on D because after the lead-in, we hit an A note, which is under the D chord. The A note is in the D chord. So da 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 da, and then da 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 da. We're going to go to an A chord. All right, because you're going to an E note there. Or so that E note is not in the D chord, but it's in the A chord, which is the 5 chord of the key of D. So during that period of time, we're going to go to the A chord. And then we're going to start, again, the next phrase is going to start just like the first one, so we're going to go back to that D chord. Da da da, starting at the top. Da 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 da. That's that E note. Da 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 da. And then, just like last time, we're going to go the resolving phrase, and we're going to change to that 5 chord. Da 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 da. Okay. So again, it's good to match up the chords with those 2-bar phrases and recognize kind of why you're changing to that chord. What's going on in the melody that's making you change to that new chord. And typically, again, a fiddle tune's not going to leave the scale of the key, and typically, maybe a little less typically, it's going to be a 1-4-5 chord. You know, sometimes fiddle tunes might have a flat 7. Sometimes if they're circle of fifth style tunes, they may go to other chords. But for the most part, you're going to have, for most simple fiddle tunes, you're going to have 1, 4, 5 chord progression. And then it's nice to get it in your head where the chords are changing in relation to these 2-bar phrases that we break the song down into. Okay? So that's the chords for the B part. Now let's go on, and like I said, I can simplify this thing and show you how I might simplify it and use that as my starting point. Okay? Okay, so what I just played as the A part was kind of the way I learned the song, the melody of the song. And again, with these fiddle tunes, everybody's got a slightly different way to play these things, which is fine. You may have learned Liberty a little bit differently, and that's fine. But I'm just going to take what I played. I'm going to take that and see if I can't simplify it a little bit. Again, make my life a lot more easier. Instead of learning something as complicated as that, even though it's not that complicated, I can simplify it even more. And that's going to be helpful because I don't have to remember as many notes. And it's also going to be helpful when somebody kicks a song off really fast and maybe I just can't keep up with that tempo. And then I can go to the most simple version. And again, you know, when people ask me, you know, how do I learn how to play faster? The first answer is play less notes. You play half as many notes, you can play twice as fast, right? So that's the simple answer. Of course, you want to be able to improve your skill and technique so you can play faster as well. But the immediate answer is don't play as many notes. Okay, so here we go. This lead-in, I can leave that out. Okay, it's not necessary because like we said, the things you can lead out are the notes that lead up to anchor notes, or if an anchor note is repeated, or any note's repeated. You can take out the repeated one, or you can take out notes that lead up to anchor notes. So since that leads up to an anchor note, I could take that out. So I can go, just start with that A note. Now I could take that G note out. I could go and play just that F sharp note and not do that whole scale run. Now that little arpeggio run to me is kind of helps define the melody there, so I'm going to leave that in. But that whole run, I could take that out and just go. And so that is the theme, and now when I go to the answer to the theme, that's all I have to play. Or I could go. Last time I went. There's extraneous notes in there that you don't need. So that answer to the theme just has to be right there. You can even leave out that beginning double A note, just go. That's all you'd have to play. Again, since the sub-theme is the same as the theme, you could play a simplified version. You wouldn't have to play that lead in. You could go. That's all you'd have to play. Simplify. Okay? And then you'd go to resolving phrase. You could simplify it that much. So a simplified way to play that B part would be something like that. Again, I've simplified it down to the most simple form that I can get it to. You may be able to simplify it farther and still recognize the song in there, the tune, the melody. And that would be great. Make it as simple as you can get it and then work with that version. think about how the notes of what you're playing apply to the scale or the arpeggio. Here we're in the key of D, never leaves the D scale. And then that one little lick is just across the arpeggio. And again, even the opening, we talked about the opening parts of the A part use arpeggio, 2 notes out of the chord, which is partial arpeggio. So getting all that information in your head, to me, the structure, what's the theme, what's the answer to the theme, what's the sub-theme, what's the resolution phrase, get all that in your head for the A part and the B part, figure out how that's laying over top the scale, figuring out what your anchor notes are when you change chords, what notes are you going to, getting that stuff in your head, especially the first note of the song, right? That's the first note. That F sharp note is the first note of the song. A lot of times it's good to know what note is the first note of the song. It's the 3rd scale degree of the D scale. And that'll orient you to when it comes your time around. If you know what first note to start on, a lot of times that'll orient you back to where you need to go. So that's at least if nothing else, memorize that. It's really nice to memorize what note each of these different 2-bar phrases start on for any given song relative to the scale. To me, I think that's helpful for a lot of reasons, improvising and if you get lost especially. Okay, so that's the B part to Liberty. Now the next time what I'd like to do is start to manipulate and change stuff like, oh, okay, let's move this song to another part of the neck, let's move this song to a different key, and show you how breaking the song down the way we have will be helpful to doing those kind of things, transposing to another key. Fiddle tunes usually are in pretty standard keys because the fiddle likes to play in A or D a lot of the times, and so this tune's pretty much going to be in the key of D most of the time, but who knows? You may go to a jam and they're not playing it in D. They like to play it in another key. This process is going to help you not just say, oh, I only know it in D, I can't play it. Well, you can transpose it, and this process is going to help you. So we'll talk about that stuff next time. All right, for now, this is Dan Miller saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.